everybody. Welcome to another episode of Two Friends Talking Trends. This is a podcast about marketing and PR and pretty much everything in between. My name is Mike Pachenik.
And I'm Pauline Barron.
And today we are going to go over some questions that we received from clients and colleagues in our audience to cover some of the pain points in marketing operations. And of course, our own marketing growth hack guru, Pauline, is here to answer those questions. We received a lot of great ones from the audience here. So let's dive right into those, Pauline. The first one is, how do you resolve conflicts between marketing and sales and gain their confidence? There's that kind of constant push and pull, right?
Yeah. Well, I'm super excited first for this episode because I think a lot of people, they have been asking us really good questions, and that one is one of them. So let's talk about sales. Yes, first of all, there's always going to be, that push and pull and that like little, internal love and hate relationship between sales and marketing. But I would say that what got me to be successful in the role of, working really well with sales is making sure that your alignment it's good. So you have to align your definitions, what MQL, SQL, what qualification means. You have to align your processes internally, how things work, who is responsible for what. And you have to align teams and share goals. You have to make sure that you both, like sales and marketing, both departments are going to, working towards the same goals and going to, towards the same direction. Because marketing can be working on, certain verticals, and then sales like, no, we're going to do these verticals here because that's what's important to us. So that's where kind of like all the, the little friction can happen. So being aligned with sales leaders are going to prevent that. So that's definitely my first recommendation, to align. Okay, what are we doing? Where we're going? What are the strategies here? What's our target audience? What's the best pretty much sets of accounts that we can reach right now? So make sure you are aligned with your sales leaders and you have shared goals. Another thing that I would say is that to make sure that you position yourself as a partner / resource, right? Nobody wants to take orders. Nobody wants to receive orders, right? So it's very important to not be like, hey, sales, you got to do this. No questions asked. That's not how a relationship should work. So we need to really be collaborative and make sure that we're partnering. Hey, I'm your resource. This is what we have been seeing. The data has been showing. This is, all the testing, and have this exchange. Have, constant meetings to exchange feedback and to make sure that, you're listening to what's happening in the field from the marketing leaders, and the marketing leaders are also listening to what's happening in the data and in the campaigns that can be extremely helpful and insightful for your approach. So be a partner, be a resource to them, and make sure that you guys are exchanging feedback all the time to avoid that conflict of, you do it, as I say, that's not how it needs to work. It needs to be very much a combined effort. Another thing that I usually do, I try to get a buy-in from one of the team members and start with one sales leader. So, work with a champion and create a playbook. Get that person on your side, the one that loves marketing the most and is willing to really test things out. And then once they're successful, everybody else is going to want to do that, right? Because they can see results, not because you're saying it works, but because they see that the meetings are being scheduled, they're converting. So once they see results, I think that's where you gain their confidence, and that's how how they're going to now start like really wanting to work with marketing in explaining your tactics and how they're going to gain from it. Comes a long way. Once it's like, hey guys, we're doing this webinar. It's a great webinar. We're going to use it for this, and this. We're hoping to achieve this, and this. This is going to help you in this way, in that way, in that way. So making sure that they're part of that process and making sure that, they understand the value that what marketing is doing. And most likely they would just support that and share the webinars and making sure that, their prospects and clients are aware of those initiatives as well. But Mike, actually, I wanted to get get your opinion in terms of, conflicts. I know you work in PR, and when you work with clients, do you find any little bottlenecks in the way, or what would it be, a conflict that PR faces, or it's not a thing?
Yeah, I mean, I think the whole concept of finding a champion on the inside to help you achieve the overall goal is a great one. If you are working as an external partner with a client, and they have somebody internally who gets it and just understands the importance of why you're building a PR campaign, it helps spur things along. So an example would be, so you have a reporter that comes along and they're asking for comment, or they're asking for kind of sort of expertise on a specific topic. And sometimes it's like herding cats to get the thought leaders who are worried about other things like sales or operations to come over and give that quote to the reporter. But if you have somebody on the inside who understands the importance of this, sort of shepherding them along and saying, hey, this is important, you need to drop what you're doing right now and answer these questions, or take time out of your busy schedule, that's really helpful. I think that's the bottleneck, can just come from sort of everybody understanding why this is important for them to be doing it. It's not just about making that sale, or fixing that issue. It's about getting the brand awareness out there, and that's what PR is for. And so if everybody's on the same page, and you're working as a team, then it can be achieved.
Yeah,
So
that makes a lot of sense, because all of us, we are focused on what's in front of us, right? I'm going to think about what's good for marketing. How can I improve my marketing efforts? And I think PR as well, and sales. So everybody's just focused on what's in front of them. And I think the friction comes when you ask people to look to the side and say, hey, let's work together here. So I think it makes a lot of sense what you just said, that not necessarily it's a department that is a bottleneck in PR, but pretty much getting people to pay attention to what's important right now. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I think it goes for PR in marketing as well.
Yeah. Let's take another question here that somebody asked, which is, my email marketing campaign has low open and conversion rates. What's wrong, and how can I fix it?
Yeah. I get that one a lot. I love that one though. So think about it. When you receive an email, what are the first things that you see? First, you see the sender, right? Who is sending that email to you? And second, you're gonna see the subject line. So if you're getting low open rates, I guarantee that your subject line is not as good, interesting, or effective. You're not generating curiosity. You're using perhaps words that can send you to spam folders, and your sender, I don't know, is marketing. So people are smart these days. You have to use real names. You have to be a real business. You have to really have something to add. So in those first 3 seconds when somebody sees your email coming in, your sender, it has to be from a real person, and your subject line, it has to generate that curiosity. It has to bring, ask a question, or make somebody think, or they're going through this, I don't know, issue in their industry. If you find what these issues are, you're going to be able to be a lot more targeted in your subject lines, and you're going to be able to oh, this is interesting, I'm going to open it just to see what they're talking about. So make sure that you're not too broad. Make sure that your subject lines are very interesting in specific things to the problem you're solving, to the person you're sending this email to. And then in terms of the conversion, I would say that your content is probably too broad and perhaps too long. So make sure that your content is short and sweet, and it is very relevant to the person on the other side. The more personalized, the better. You need to understand pretty much who is opening that email on the other side, and what do they want, and at what stage of the journey awareness they are. So be very mindful of your content for you to be able to resonate and be relevant as possible. Because think about it, everybody's busy, like Mike and I were talking before. We're all so busy, minding our own business, trying to do our jobs, doing this and that. Would you open an email that it won't add any value to your day, it won't add any value to your work, won't add any value to what you're doing, we're trying to solve, won't add any value for you looking good to your CEO. So these are the things that you need to think of. What type of email can I send that would add value to people, that would make people really want to open it and read it and engage and click? So if you think from this perspective, who is opening that email, what's important to them, I guarantee you are going to be very successful, and those open rates and conversion rates are going to increase. So when we're talking about email marketing, Mike, I would like to ask you, you've been, reporter, and now you pitch to reporters. Anything that you would like to say in terms of, to complement the email marketing topic, any strategies that you see when reaching out to reporters and sending emails out?
Yeah, I would say brevity is king, and is very similar to what you were just talking about from the marketing side. Is that you got to have a short and sweet subject line that's relevant to the reporter. The copy in your email needs to be interesting and engaging for them, and it's got to give them a reason to care. The strategy on the front end, of course, is figuring out what it is they cover, why they cover it, why they're going to care about this, and how this is going to fit into the stories that they do cover. So it's all a lot of the same tactics that you're using in the marketing side. It's making sure that you're front and center, but short and sweet, and resonating with the end user.
I love email marketing, and I think if you are personalized, your chances of being effective are a lot higher, obviously. So yeah, that's amazing.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you and I have worked together. We've worked at a company where we were putting on a webinar series, and I know how hard that is to get people interested and engaged and in the door, to listen to the great content and to help build that sales pipeline. So this is a question that comes in, you probably see frequently as well, which is, my webinars have low attendance. How do I improve that? What are the steps you can take to do that?
So I'm assuming you're starting off. So the first thing I want to say is that at first, you don't need to have a huge audience, okay? Because webinars are not only good when it's live, you also turn into marketing materials. You turn into sales enablement assets. You turn into emails. You turn into a resource on your blog, or something to attract people to your website. So it's okay if at first you don't have a huge hundreds or thousands of people attending your webinar. It's all good as long as the webinar is really good quality and you come with a topic that's relevant to your audience. Then you're going to be able to use it in so many different ways that are going to be very valuable to you and your business. But yes, some things that you can start doing it to be even more relevant, and then therefore to attract more people to your webinars, is certainly you can use planted questions, for example, that you can address the questions that are relevant to your audience. You can make sure that, if people don't ask because you don't have a huge audience, you still, covering the topic that you wanted to cover in more details. And it's an opportunity for also you to sell your business indirectly. In terms of, you have to also think about the time and the dates that you're doing your webinar. There is lots of studies that show that Tuesdays and Thursdays are the best days to do webinars. And you have to think about around 1 p.m. Eastern time. Around that, it's usually the best because people are in between lunch or before or after meetings. So just be mindful of when the webinar is, and I think that will go a long way. Be very interactive with your webinars. We don't want to sit down there and just fall asleep, right? So if you want to increase your attendance, you have to be like more conversational, a panel, people just discussing, maybe like an interview type of webinar that would really engage. The way that I do webinars, I don't like a lot of just PowerPoints and people just looking at screens. They look at screens and PowerPoints all day. They want to see people. They want to see your smile. They want to see your passion. They want to see, you addressing that, that topic, because you're the expert, right? So you need to, show your face. So that's certainly, I think it goes a long way as well. You being able to just be less scripted and be there and show your face and address all of the topics that people want to hear. In terms of how are you going to invite people is also a huge component on the success of your webinar attendees, the amount that you attract to the webinar. So first, you can use databases. I'm sure you have databases from your a list of clients, a list of prospects, a list of people that you usually talk to. You can certainly use that to send out invitations. LinkedIn, organic, and ads are also a really good way to invite people to your webinar. Like Mike was saying, we created a series of webinars that were kind of the same topic, and it was a continuation or slightly different topics within the same topic. And it was really amazing because I created a form that if you just sign up once for any of the webinars, you would be invited to all of them. And that certainly increased the attendance there. Another strategy that I see working a lot is to send an email like, hey, we're starting now, with a link to the webinar. That people, if they're not super busy or they're not in a meeting and they're interested in listening in, they're going to click and they're going to, join right then. So these are definitely things that you can do to increase first the value of your webinar, but also the attendance of your webinar.
People have FOMO, right? So you want to take advantage of that and get them to show up like, hey, you don't want to miss this. Come on over.
Yeah, absolutely.
So another question here is about marketing qualified leads and sales qualified leads. This person says, I'm reaching my MQL goals, but not my SQL goals. What's wrong here? Let's diagnose this, Dr. Pauline.
I love that. Marketing doctor. So I would say first, you need to assess and to be able to identify the why. On top of my mind, I can think of three main reasons of why you're top of funnel, right? Is having some issues there. So if you are reaching your MQL goals and you're not reaching your SQL goals, that shows me that one, you may have an SDR qualification process issues. So I would say watch your SDRs, watch your RVPs, go to meetings, listen in, understand what questions they're asking, how they're qualifying these leads, and what's the disconnect. Because it could be a perfectly fine lead, but your SDR or RVP are just asking the wrong questions. They're, the process of qualification is not really capturing if this is a qualified lead or not. So pay attention to your qualification process and make sure that everything looks good and everything makes sense, from a sales and a marketing perspective, and that you're capturing everything, you're asking the right questions, and you're being as smooth as possible in that first interaction and journey to your prospects. The second thing I would say is most likely your lead isn't ready and it needs more nurturing, right? So if that's the case, then you need to be able to increase your nurturing journey and understand when actually moves the needle. What exactly is that you do? What touch moves the needle for that lead to be ready for sales? So pay attention to your process there as well. The amount of the touches that you have, the type of content that you're sharing. So you can work with attribution models to try to identify that, and where is the sweet spot for you for your nurturing. So then your leads are going to be ready when they reach sales.
So you really got to be speaking the same language. Sales and marketing have to be, as you said, aligned on their processes.
Absolutely. You need to know your journey with your eyes closed. You need to be able to understand the whole process and nurturing, maturing system, right? Because perhaps you need more than 3 emails, for example. You need other things. You need different channels. You need to nurture people in a different way. Why these things that you're doing are not nurturing them enough, or they're not ready for you. Either it's because there is a disconnection with your nurturing system, or they're not resonating with you. Perhaps they're not really your target audience. They're not your persona. There's just a lot of things that you can look and try to assess what's wrong and what's happening that, your leads aren't ready. And the third possibility could be of the lead quality. It could be a low lead quality. So you need to think about trash in and trash out, right? Where are you getting those leads from? What channels? What types of people? Do they align with your personas? Are they exactly your target audience? Do they have the titles you're looking for? Do they have the experience? Do they have the power to make decisions? So this is a very important aspect of your top of funnel, right? Because if you're getting the wrong people since the beginning, they're not going to convert because they're not the right people for you, the right leads for you. So these would be the three main things that I would say to watch out for, and identify the cracks, identify the gaps, and fix it and go from there. Yeah.
You mentioned content. Let's talk about that. The question that came in was about to gate or not to gate. That is the question. What would you do, and how do you typically handle that?
Yeah, I think gated content needs to be extremely strategic. I've come across with clients and employers where they were gating everything. Do you know what that caused? Me, and I'm sure their prospects and their clients, to go to their competitor's website to find more information, to learn more, and then that's dangerous, right? Because instead of you becoming the authority, you educating, you giving them access, they're actually having to go elsewhere to find the access, that authority, that education. So to me, the short answer is no gated, unless you have a purpose and you have a process in place that you're guaranteed that that lead that just wants to watch your webinar or wants to get that ebook is really ready to go to sales. Because otherwise you're just wasting sales time, and you are qualifying leads that aren't supposed to be qualified at this stage. So make sure that your website is a wealth of information, that people come to you over and over again to learn, and they're going to see you as an authority. And whenever they're ready, guarantee they're going to choose you because you offer the value, you offer the information, you are a reliable source of information that they're looking for. So just gated content whenever you're sure this is probably bottom of funnel, when you're sure that that lead is ready to go to sales, or you have a very specific, for example, white paper or piece of content that needs additional explanation. It has some stats there, it has some data, and a salesperson or somebody would be walking people through, explaining further. So I think gated contents are just for leads that are really close to ready, or if you need a follow-up on that paper, on that content, on that piece of content, so people can understand better, people can absorb better the content. That would be the only two reasons why to gate a content. Otherwise, the more the merrier that people come to you and on your website, because then they're doing you're doing all the nurturing, right? Giving them access to everything, and then whenever they're ready, they're going to schedule that demo.
Yeah, I saw somebody post the other day on LinkedIn about the annoyance of, in order to do, to read something, they had to give all their information up, and it was only going to be used, as fodder for marketing spam emails to come back to them, and it rubs people the wrong way.
Yeah.
It alienates your customer base, right? So what you described there sounds like a great way to go about that. So yeah, a lot of great information here, and certainly a lot more we can dive into in a future episode. So thank you, Pauline, for all this great insight into all these great viewer listener questions, and I'm sure we'll have more as the days go by. So that will do it for this episode of Two Friends Talking Trends. This is a podcast about marketing and PR and all points in between. I'm Mike, and that's Pauline, and we will see you next time. Have a good one.
Yes, we'll see you next time, guys. Thank you so much. I had a blast today, and I hope you did it too. So see you next time. Please continue to send your questions, and we'll be happy to address them.
Stay tuned. We'll see you next time.